Hello, Reddit. I'm writing this from the comfiest armchair I've ever owned, nursing a glass of wine that tastes suspiciously like victory, and I'm in a state of moral freefall. I need to know if I've gone too far, or if my response was, as my best friend calls it, as masterclass in petty. Some background. I'm Amara, 31 female, and I'm married to Eli, 33 male. Eli's family is a lot. They're the kind of people who have family crests that are probably fake and use summer as a verb. They're mostly doctors, lawyers, and people with intimidatingly firm handshakes. I, on the other hand, am a creative. For years, I climbed the corporate ladder in marketing, working 70-hour weeks and burning myself to a crisp for a company that would have replaced me in a day. 2 years ago, I quit. I took my savings, my contacts, and my sanity and launched my own freelance brand design business. It's been a wild success, like a life-changing, I can't believe this is my life success. But I'm quiet about it. I don't flash my income around. And since my business is registered under my maiden name, and I keep my finances separate from Eli's, nobody really knows the specifics. Eli knows I do well, but he doesn't know the numbers. He just knows I'm happy and the bills are paid. His family, however, has filled in the blanks with their own narrative. To them, I'm the whimsical, artsy wife who dabbles in graphic design, while their perfect son, Eli, provides for me with his stable, respectable, and frankly average salary. This brings me to last weekend. We were at Eli's cousin's engagement party. It was the usual affair. Champagne flutes clinking, pastel-colored outfits, and the low hum of condescension that follows me like a shadow at these events. I was doing my best to mingle, trying to explain to a stone-faced aunt what a brand identity suite is, when my mother-in-law, Gloria, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, glided over. Gloria is the queen bee of this family. She has perfectly coiffed silver hair, a wardrobe of expensive-looking neutrals, and a smile that could curdle milk. She commands attention without ever raising her voice. She listened for a moment, a small patronizing smile on her face, before placing a hand on my arm. The conversation stopped. Everyone turned to her with the timing of a seasoned performer. She let out a light tinkling laugh and announced to the circle of relatives, "Oh, you're all so sweet to ask about a Mars little projects. But let's be honest." She squeezed my arm, her nails digging in just slightly. She doesn't work. She lives with Eli. It must be nice to be lazy and pretty. The silence that followed was deafening. It was broken by a few nervous titters from the cousins. I felt my face flush hot, then cold. It was so public, so deliberate. I looked at Eli, who was standing a few feet away. He looked like a deer in headlights. He mumbled something like, "Mom, that's not true. Amara works really hard." But it was as effective as a paper shield against a cannonball. Gloria just waved a dismissive hand, took a delicate sip of her Chardonnay, and moved on to another conversation as if she'd just commented on the weather. I was frozen. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to cause a scene, to list my client roster, my quarterly earnings, my investment portfolio. I wanted to ask her how her retirement fund was doing, but I couldn't. I felt like a 14-year-old girl again, being shamed for wearing the wrong thing to the school dance. I spent the rest of the party smiling a smile that didn't reach my eyes, feeling the pitying or mocking glances from every corner of the room. Later that evening, as people were leaving, Gloria cornered me by the coat rack. She wasn't apologetic, she was smug. She leaned in, her perfume cloying, and whispered, "Just so you know, I'm not just sitting around waiting for retirement. I've been eyeing that beautiful old Victorian across from the park, the one with the wraparound porch." She sighed dramatically. A woman my age deserves a home that feels earned, a place to rest after a lifetime of hard work. She gave me a pointed look, the subtext screaming, "Unlike you who is living off her son's salary." "Yeah, sure." At that moment, I wanted to tell her that the price of my bag is more than her monthly medical bill. You, old hag. But I didn't. I just nodded, took my coat, and left. Eli tried to talk to me in the car, offering a string of apologies for his mom's behavior, saying she's from a different generation. I didn't say a word because in that moment an idea began to form. It was small and dark and utterly breathtakingly petty. I started with her words, a place that feels earned. I've been stewing on it all week. I haven't yelled at Eli. I haven't called Gloria. I've just been quiet planning. I looked up the Victorian house she mentioned. It's a gorgeous, slightly dilapidated historical home that is indeed for sale. It's the kind of place that needs a lot of love, a lot of work, and a lot of money. The kind of money Gloria thinks I don't have. So, Reddit AET, if I take this to the next level, am I the for letting her insult fester and using my lazy pretty girl money to quietly buy her dream house right out from under her just to prove a point? Or should I have stood up for myself at the party and let it go? I feel like a villain in a soap opera, but my God, the thought of the look on her face is just so tempting. What should I do? Update 1, a week later. First off, thank you for the overwhelming response. The comments have been a mix of NTA, burn it all down, and NTA, but think this through with a healthy dose of armchair legal and financial advice. I've read every single one. You guys have given me a lot to think about, and honestly, just having my anger validated has been incredibly therapeutic. Many of you pointed out that my real issue isn't just with Gloria, but also with Eli's passivity. You're not wrong. The day after the party, Eli came to me with his tail between his legs. He said he was sorry that he froze, that he should have defended me more forcefully. He suggested he could talk to her and demand an apology. I told him not to. I looked him dead in the eye and paraphrased what many of you said. An apology he had to beg for wouldn't be genuine. It would just be another performance for her. When he asked why I was being so quiet and what I was thinking, I just told him, I'm not interested in defending my worth to a woman who needs an audience to feel powerful. He didn't really have a response to that. The silence in our house this week has been heavy, but for me, it's been productive. As many of you suggested, I sat down and did a full financial audit for my own peace of mind. I pulled up the statements for my business, LLC. In the last 2 years, I've grossed more than twice Eli's salary. I looked at the accounts for the 2 small rental properties I bought with my corporate signing bonus years ago, both registered under my maiden name and managed by a property firm. They've been quietly appreciating and generating a steady income stream, and I just reinvest. Gloria's insult wasn't just rude. It was factually laughably incorrect. I'm not a gold digger. I'm the gold mine. This whole situation has clarified something for me. My silence is my power. Gloria's power comes from public pronouncements and social status. Mine comes from the fact that no one in that family knows what I'm capable of. They see a quiet, agreeable artist. They have no idea I'm a ruthless businesswoman who spent a decade swimming with sharks in a boardroom. Gloria won't even survive an hour in the meetings where I rule with my laptop. Now for the part you're all waiting for. The house. The beautiful coveted Victorian. A few of you suggested I look into it, and I did. I set up alerts, and then 3 days ago, something interesting happened. The house wasn't listed on major real estate sites, but a friend of mine in local real estate sent me a tip. It was being sold quietly off-market to avoid a bidding war and find a serious buyer who could close quickly. The owners are an elderly couple moving to a retirement community, and they want a no-fuss sale. Gloria, with her need for a mortgage and her likely desire to haggle, wouldn't be a no-fuss buyer, but an all-cash offer from a mysterious LLC. That's about as no-fuss as it gets. So I did it. I contacted my lawyer who handles my business affairs. We drafted an all-cash offer slightly above the asking price to make it irresistible and submitted it through my LLC. The name on the paperwork has no connection to me or Eli. To the sellers, it's just a faceless investment company. To me, it's the opening move in a chess game. Gloria doesn't even know she's playing. The offer has been accepted. We're moving toward closing. I haven't told Eli. I haven't told anyone except my lawyer and my best friend who just keeps sending me popcorn emojis. I walk around my house. I make dinner. I talk to Eli about his day. And all the while, I'm secretly in the process of buying the one thing his mother desires most in the world. I feel a cold, calm sense of purpose I haven't felt in years. This is no longer just about a petty insult. It's about reclaiming a narrative. She wrote a story about me being lazy and dependent. I'm about to give her a plot twist she'll never see coming. The question is no longer if I should do it. The deed is quite literally being done. The new question is, what's my endgame? I am just wondering how I should rub it in her face. I want her to provoke me so I can just go all in with no remorse whatsoever. Update 2 weeks later. Well, Reddit, things have escalated subtly. The way a crack in a dam escalates, silent and invisible right before everything bursts. As of 4 days ago, my LLC is the official owner of the Victorian on Park Avenue. I have the keys. I've walked through the empty rooms, my footsteps echoing on the old hardwood floors. It smells like dust and forgotten memories and potential. My potential. The closing was ridiculously smooth. Cash offers have a way of clearing hurdles. The entire time, I felt like I was living a double life. On the one hand, I was Amara, the quiet wife, nodding along as Eli recounted office drama. On the other hand, I was on the phone with my real estate agent, my lawyer, and my inspector, making clinical, decisive moves. It was exhilarating. During this time, Gloria has been a own woman show on social media. She's been posting non-stop on Facebook, pictures of Victorian furniture, links to articles about restoring historical homes. She even created a public Pinterest board titled My Park Avenue Dream, filled with images of wraparound porches, clawfoot tubs, and garden landscaping. It was like watching someone plan a wedding for a groom who's already eloped with someone else. A few family members commented, cheering her on, telling her to manifest it. I almost felt a pang of guilt. Almost. The Eli situation came to a head last night. I knew I couldn't keep it from him forever. I left the closing documents on my desk, knowing he'd eventually see them. He came into my office holding the folder, his face pale. He looked at me, not with anger, but with a kind of stunned, bewildered awe, like he'd just discovered his house cat was secretly a panther. He asked me, his voice barely a whisper, if I had really just bought the house his mom wanted. I kept my expression neutral. I told him I bought an investment property that had great potential, a house I've always admired. The fact that his mother also admired it was a coincidence of taste. He just stared at me. He said he didn't understand. He asked where the money came from, so I told him. Not everything, but enough. I gave him a brief non-nonsense overview of my business, my investments, the money I've been making and saving since before we even met. I explained that I kept it separate, not because I didn't trust him, but because I learned a long time ago to never ever be financially dependent on anyone. He sat there silent, processing the fact that the narrative his family, and to some extent he had believed about me, was a complete fiction. He wasn't angry. He seemed humbled and a little scared. It was the first time I felt like he truly saw me, not as his artsy wife, but as an equal. And then the universe delivered the most perfect, ironic twist. This morning, my friend, the contractor I've hired to start doing some quiet internal renovations on the Victorian called me. He told me he just got a call from a woman who was frantically looking for a new rental. Her landlord was selling her current place out from under her, and she had 30 days to move. He said she sounded desperate. The woman was Gloria. Her landlord is selling. She's about to be homeless, and she has absolutely no idea that the woman she publicly humiliated a month ago holds the keys to her dream home. A home that is currently empty. A home with a lovely, spacious guest suite. The pieces on the board are moving themselves into place, and I'm just standing here watching it happen. I haven't even had to lift a finger. I'm meeting my contractor at the house tomorrow to plan the renovations. Eli is still processing everything, but he's on my side. He said, "She made her bed, Amara, but now I have a choice to make." When Gloria's inevitable panicked phone call comes, what do? Do I offer her a place to stay just to see the look on her face when she arrives? The cruelty of that feels both delicious and terrifying. Update 3. After 9 days, the past week has been a blur of paint swatches, contractor meetings, and a strange new dynamic with my husband. Eli has been watching me with a new kind of respect. He's been more attentive, more of a partner. It's like the shock of my financial independence short-circuited the passive son programming he's been running his whole life. He's been helping me move some of my office equipment into one of the Victorian spare bedrooms, which has incredible natural light. We've been calling it my new workspace. Meanwhile, Gloria's desperation has been escalating. We've been hearing secondhand from panicked relatives that her search for a new rental was going poorly. The market is tough, and apparently her budget isn't what it used to be. She was complaining to everyone that she couldn't find anything with character. Then yesterday evening, my phone rang. It was her. Her voice was thin and shaky, a stark contrast to her usual commanding tone. She launched into a long, rambling story about her terrible landlord, the unfairness of the world, and how she was facing the prospect of having to move into a soulless apartment complex. She cried, real tears, I think. She said she needed to stay somewhere stable for just a few weeks, a month at most, until she could find a suitable place. Then came the ask. She said with a forced little laugh that she knew we probably didn't have much room, but wondered if we could possibly put her up. She added, I just need a place with a pretty view somewhere I can breathe. This was it. The moment I felt a jolt of adrenaline. Eli was in the room watching me, his eyes wide. I took a deep breath and kept my voice perfectly sweet and accommodating. I told her that as a matter of fact, we had just moved. I said we had plenty of space and that we'd be happy to have her. I told her I'd text her the new address. She sounded so relieved she was practically weeping with gratitude. She said she'd be over in the morning with a few suitcases. This morning I got up early. I made coffee. I sat on my new wraparound porch and I waited. At 10 a.m. sharp, a taxi pulled up. Gloria got out wrestling with 2 large bags. She walked up the stone pathway, looking down at her phone to check the address. Then she looked up at the house number, and then she looked up at the house itself. She froze. Her mouth fell open slightly. Her eyes darted from the distinctive gabled roof to the porch swing I'd installed last weekend. I saw the exact moment the gears in her brain clicked into place. The realization dawned on her face, moving from confusion to disbelief, to a dawning horrified understanding. I stood up from my chair and gave her a bright, welcoming smile. Gloria, you found it. Welcome. She just stared speechless. She stammered something incoherent, gesturing vaguely at the house. Isn't this the old Miller place? Oh, yeah, I said, my voice dripping with casual cheerfulness. I bought it a few weeks ago. Decided it was time to invest in myself, put my money into something solid. I let that hang in the air for a beat. She swallowed hard and forced a laugh that sounded like grinding gears. Oh my, how resourceful of you. Then she looked past me toward the front door, her desperation overriding her shock. She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Well, that guest suite, is it available? I smiled again, wider this time, and I delivered the line I had been rehearsing in my head for weeks. It is, I said brightly. It's lovely. Gets the afternoon sun, but well, you said I don't work, and this house has a mortgage and property taxes. It has to earn its keep. The suite runs on rent. I'd need the first and last months up front. I can draw up a lease for you if you'd like. The silence that followed was the most satisfying sound I've ever heard. Her face read it. Her face was a kaleidoscope of humiliation, rage, and helplessness. She just stood there on my walkway, her suitcases flanking her like 2 monuments to her own bad judgment. She didn't know what to say. After what felt like an eternity of standing on my walkway, she simply turned around, got back in her taxi without a word, and left. She didn't slam the door. She didn't yell. She just vanished. It was an anticlimax so profound it was almost an art form. For the first time in her life, Gloria was speechless. The ball is in her court now. What will she do? And more importantly, what story will she tell the family about why she's not staying in our beautiful available guest suite? Final update a month later. So, the fallout wasn't a nuclear explosion. It was more like a silent toxic gas leak. It seeped into the foundations of the family, and things will never be the same. But it's quiet, and I own the silence. Gloria did not write a check. She didn't even respond to my offer. For about a week, there was radio silence. Then the family grapevine started buzzing. The official story spun by Gloria was that she had found a wonderful opportunity to stay with an old friend who was traveling, allowing her to house us at a lovely cottage. It was all very vague and noble sounding. The reality, which I learned from a cousin who is more loyal to me than to her, is that she's couch surfing at her sister's place, sleeping on a pull-out sofa in a room that smells like mothballs and regret. I have not said a word about any of this to anyone. I didn't have to. Instead, I took a different approach. I started posting on Instagram. My account, which used to be a sleepy collection of vacation photos and pictures of my dog, has become a curated chronicle of my new life. I posted a picture of my new home office, the sun streaming through the huge bay windows with the caption, "Finally have a workspace that inspires me. Freelance life, yes, boss babe." I posted a photo of me and Eli having wine on the wraparound porch, captioned, "Enjoying the fruits of my labor. Hard work pays off." Each post was a perfectly crafted smiling dagger. I never mentioned Gloria. I never mentioned the party. I never mentioned the insult. I just showcased the beautiful life I had built for myself with the house she coveted as my stunning backdrop. The masterpiece, if I do say so myself, was a photo I took last week. I was sitting on the porch swing and I saw Gloria drive by. She slowed her car down just for a second to look at the house. Her face was a thundercloud. I waited until she was gone. Then I took a picture from that exact spot looking out at the park. I captioned it, "Sometimes the best apology you'll ever get is the silence you hear while watching someone walk past the house they can't afford." That one got a lot of love from my friends who know the real story. The dynamic in the family has shifted permanently. They don't know the details, but they know something happened. They know Gloria lost her home, and I suddenly have a new, very impressive one. They know she isn't staying with me. The dots are there to be connected. The final perfect bookend to this entire saga happened last night. We went to a family dinner, the first one Gloria and I had both attended since the incident. The tension was thick enough to cut with a steak knife. Gloria wouldn't look at me. She spent the evening looking tired and small. Toward the end of the meal, an oblivious uncle turned to Gloria and asked cheerfully, "So, Gloria, any news on that beautiful Victorian you had your eye on? Are you still thinking of making an offer?" A hush fell over the table. Everyone froze, forks halfway to their mouths. Gloria's face went white. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. I didn't look up from my wine glass. I just took a slow, deliberate sip. Then Eli, my wonderful, formerly passive husband, put his hand on my arm. He looked directly at the uncle and said, his voice calm and firm, "It's taken." That was it, just 2 words. But in that moment, they held the weight of everything that had happened. They were a shield for me, a final word for his mother, and a declaration to the entire family. The subject was dropped. Gloria looked like she had been slapped. I never had to raise my voice. I never had to defend myself. I never had to explain. So, I don't know anymore, and I don't really care. I didn't stoop to her level of public humiliation. I didn't engage in screaming matches. I just played the game better on a level she didn't even know existed. She wanted a house that felt earned. Well, I earned this one. And from my beautiful porch, I can tell you the view is absolutely spectacular.